Okay. Welcome, everybody. I will call our regular public council meeting for Monday, November 30th, 2020 to order. We have a couple of housekeeping items, I guess, to take care of first before we do anything, and I'll pass it over to Councillor Pollard to do that.
Thank you, Your Worship. Because as we all know, the Chief Administrative Officer, Town Clerk Don, is away from the office at least until the 13th of January 2021. So in her place, we have to appoint somebody. So the motion is, in the absence of Chief Administrative Officer, Town Clerk, for the period November 27th to January 13th, 2021, the Deputy Clerk Ann be appointed the Acting Chief Administrative Officer, Town Clerk, until the return of our incumbent CAO, Town Clerk. So moved.
Second.
Seconded. I think that we don't need any explanation there. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, new business. Councillor Pollard.
Pass, Your Worship.
All right. Councillor Torngas?
Thank you.
Councillor Martin?
Pass.
Deputy Mayor?
Thank you.
And I got a thanks. All right, get a motion to adopt the agenda, please, as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, before we get started, I just got a couple of things that I want to address first. So, in the minutes of our November 25th or 26th committee of the whole minutes, it indicates in here that Deputy Mayor left the meeting early. We spoke about it. She left the meeting early because she felt that she didn't have an opportunity to speak, and that that should not happen. And I just want to reiterate for everybody that at our council meetings, we have our rules, and everybody should follow them. When somebody is speaking, they have the floor once they're recognized by the chair, and we don't want to have multiple people speaking at the same time. So I just want to make sure that we got a large agenda tonight, and if we follow our rules correctly, it'll make for a much smoother meeting. So I want to address that. And also, there was a person that sent in a question at the end of the last council meeting, and I just want to remind people that because we don't have anybody here in the chamber, that when you're submitting your questions online through email to, and tonight it will be apico@torbay.ca. So if you want to ask a question in the first Q&A session, well, we didn't have any early, did we, Ann? No, so we didn't have any for the first part. If you have questions for the second Q&A, you need to make sure that you put them in, because with technology and emails and stuff, we don't know if it'll get in as quick as what you think it will. So the meeting is continuing on, so at any point during the meeting, you can send in your questions, and we'll try and address them at the end of the meeting. If not, even if you send them in, we'll still try and get them addressed for you. So I just wanted to get those two items out of the way.
Excuse me, Your Worship.
Yep.
Was there a question in waiting that someone asked and missed last time around?
It was a follow-up question to a question. There was a question asked and it was answered, or I think it was moved off to staff, and then the person sent a follow-up question, and I believe that was addressed to, was it? Yes.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah, and that's, I mean, that's the drawback to using technology for stuff like that. I've sent emails. I'm still waiting on an email that somebody sent me from, oh my God, Easterbrook Drive about their garbage one day, and I still haven't gotten it. So sometimes they go into the email oblivion, which is not good, but, you know, stuff happens. So with that, we have a set of minutes for the public council meeting dated November 16, 2020. Any errors or omissions? Oh, sorry. Motion to adopt, please.
So moved.
Second.
Over at seconder. Any errors or omissions? See none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Proclamations, presentations, Q&A. We already said we don't have any Q&A. Proclamation Violence Prevention NL, 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence Campaigns throughout the province. Deputy Mayor, I believe you have that one.
Thank you, Your Worship. All right. Proclamation for 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence from November 25th to December 10th, 2020. Whereas the Violence Prevention Initiative of the Government of Newfoundland Labrador is based on a vision that the people of our province will live in safe, caring communities where there is inherent respect for each other and violence. There's inherent respect. Oh my. If there is an inherent respect for each other and violence of any sort is unacceptable. And whereas violence against women devastates those who love and support women, as well as relationships, families, communities, neighborhoods, workplaces, schools, villages, cities, and towns the world over. And whereas the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence is an international campaign designed to develop strategies to increase awareness of the systemic nature of violence against women. And whereas the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender provides an opportunity for individuals, community organizations, and governments to work together in solidarity and draw upon this period of heightened attention to gain support for their local efforts to eliminate violence against women. And whereas it is only through raising awareness and changing attitudes that violence against women can be stopped and prevented. And
Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Torbay do hereby proclaim November 25th to December 10th as 16 days of activism against gender-based violence to prevent violence against women in Newfoundland and Labrador. So moved.
second,
Comments?
yes, please.
Carry on.
Thank you. This is a proclamation for me as a woman that is very personal. There are far too many women and men and people who identify many different ways who suffer violence. And it can be physical, it can be verbal, it can be emotional, it can be sexual. There's many different types of violence. But it's all wrong. Every bit of it is wrong. And we need to protect people. We need to raise awareness. We need to talk about it. We need to let people know that there are places to go. There is help out there. There are safe options for them to get out of bad situations. So I'm personally very grateful that you allowed me the opportunity to read this proclamation. And I think it's very important that everybody knows that this is 2020. These are not days that violence against women or anyone is tolerated and accepted. And I'm very proud to serve as a deputy mayor of a town that would read this proclamation and support this initiative. So those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just echo the deputy's same commentary. I guess I think I just want to bring everybody's attention to the new provincial domestic violence helpline that's in the minutes as well, and it's 1-888-709-7090, and it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for support. So anybody who finds themselves in any unfortunate situation, certainly reach out to that helpline.
Okay. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. And would you mind taking a picture of this one, because they asked if we could take a picture and send it on to them? So if you want,
Do we want to do a physically distance?
you can stand up and
Okay.
we can be 2 arm lengths apart.
Do you want a mask? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. And Councillor Martin, pipe down NL campaign requests to support resolution and a letter.
Thank you. A resolution for excessive vehicle noise, whereas scientific evidence suggests that excessive noise affects hearing long-term and negatively impacts a person's health and well-being, especially those who have issues with sensory inputs, and whereas it has been shown that excessive noise from the exhaust systems on vehicles, cars, trucks, motorcycles, ATVs and dirt bikes, etc. can be a source of distraction for road users and a significant disruption to the peace and tranquility of residents in their homes, businesses, cafes and parks and recreational spaces. And whereas communities throughout the province of Newfoundland and Labrador are experiencing problems of excessively loud vehicle noise, and whereas the issue of excessive noise from vehicles with modified exhaust systems have been part of the public discourse since at least 2012, and whereas a coalition of concerned neighbourhood groups and citizens known as Pipe Down NL was formed to appeal the provincial government to change apply the legislation on noise pollution caused by aftermarket installation of exhaust pipes on cars, trucks and motorcycles. And whereas this matter is governed under the jurisdiction of the province's Highway Traffic Act, and whereas regulation, tools and technology are readily available to aid in enforcement of the Highway Traffic Act, and whereas other jurisdictions in Canada have made amendments to regulations and legislation to deal with noise from exhaust systems, and that they have sound level meters to measure noise generated from vehicles for the purposes of ticketing and fines.
So be it resolved that the town of Torbay continue to lobby the provincial government of Newfoundland and Labrador to request that the Highway Traffic Act and or associated regulations be enforced to ensure prohibition of modifications to exhaust systems that increase noise and to ensure enforcement with fines and ticketing. Further, that the town of Torbay continue to lobby the provincial government of Newfoundland and Labrador to ensure adequate resources, technology and staffing are funded to allow enforcement agencies to effectively apply the legislation and regulations prohibiting excessively loud vehicles. So moved.
Second.
For seconder. Comments?
I'll just say it's a good initiative. I know it's one of the challenges we're currently facing. We're trying to find a remedy, so I'm glad to support it.
Yeah, I know I did attend a meeting with Pipe Down NL along with the RNC and the minister responsible, and we did have a very good meeting, and it appears that, well, the RNC are obviously they're tasked with enforcement, and the provincial government is tasked with creating the legislation that can be enforced. So hopefully they'll be able to work something out between them and make our streets and the streets around, well, certainly our town, but all towns, safer and more pleasant for people to be able to enjoy their lives, I guess. But it is a good initiative. With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. So this one, November 30th, 2020. All right, where am I now? Presentations, we don't have any. Question and answer, we don't have any. Mayor's report. This week, I guess on the 22nd, we had our public budget presentation at Torbay Common. We didn't get as many people attended in person as we had hoped, but it was still a good exercise. We Facebook Lived it, and people were able to see that and ask questions if they want, and give a good opportunity for Councillor Pollard to go through our budget and lay it out for residents. And I think it was pretty positive, as we'll see tonight. The budget is going to be coming up, and you know, I commented to Councillor Torngas that since we've been here now 7, 8, I don't know, there's 8 or 9 budgets that we've done, that I felt this one was one of the toughest ones that we've had to work through yet. So, and I think that's a lot to do with COVID-19 and just the state of affairs where we're to. So anyway, that was good. On the 26th, I attended first, I guess from the parking lot of the RNC headquarters, I attended the economic development meeting along with Councillor Martin, and get that bit of business done. But then we had our first meeting of our RNC Police and Traffic Committee. And I know Deputy Mayor alluded to this last meeting when I wasn't here, and I was going to give a more of an update on it. I guess it's almost, well, it's over a year ago now, or a year and a half maybe, when RNC Chief Boland approached our towns in the Northeast Avalon in general, I guess, well, however many municipalities are there, 11, 14, 13, and asked us to fund some new police vehicles between us, and then we were going to have this committee. So since that time has passed, the requirement for towns to invest in those vehicles has gone away, so we don't have to do it anymore. The RNC managed to do it on their own side, get their budget straightened up so they could purchase more vehicles, which is a really good thing. And we did continue on with this committee, and we had our first meeting the other night. Councillor Pollard was there on behalf of Portugal St. Philip's, and this is going to be a very good opportunity for us, as we have a committee just for the Killie Coast communities. So that was even better than what we hoped for in the beginning, because the original committee was slated to take in all those communities, which includes St. John's and Mount Pearl and CBS and Paradise and everybody else around. So I think it's going to work way better for us, because we have different issues than they have in St. John's. And it's going to be an opportunity for us to gather information from our residents, from the complaints we receive, from the things that we see, and by no mistake, the most complaints that we see is traffic related, whether it's speeding cars or ATVs traveling on the roads. The amount of emails and phone calls that we get that's by far, I think, the most complaints that we're getting, and it's the same with the other 5 towns in our Killie Coast area. So basically what it's going to be is going to be an opportunity for us to bring forward our issues and work with the RNC in this traffic committee to direct where their resources are going to go. So they already have the new cars on the road. You'll probably have noticed over the last little while that there's more of a presence of the RNC in Torbay and in the surrounding communities, which is good. And we're also, once we had those meetings, I think we're going to have them every 2 months, and we're going to get statistics back from them and some updates of activities that they've conducted in our towns over that period of time, and we might even be able to request them through email sooner so that we can demonstrate to our residents this is actually happening, and still encourage them to report incidents that they have, report it through the online reporting tool. I know that when we posted it before, we had said that you can report ATV use and illegal stuff like that. On the form, the online form, there is no drop-down box for ATV-specific things and those type of activities. However, they have assured us that if you want to report that way, you could enter it into the comments box, and everything is looked at and logged, and they keep all this information for statistical purposes. So I would encourage members of council, if you get requests from residents complaining about ATV use here or there or wherever, or speeding cars or anything like that, that you forward them on to myself or to Anne, and then we'll compile them in a list and we'll bring them to the RNC ourselves. And then we'll have that information to be able to compare about who's reporting to them, because I suspect that we're hearing a lot more complaints than what they're actually getting submitted, because people feel that if the police car is not going to show up right away, then there's no point in reporting it. But it is because they use those statistics to direct where their patrols are going to go. So we need to keep that in mind. So that's a good thing. And I also brought up, it was very, because we had this meeting Thursday night, we had a 5-car pileup on the bypass road. Thursday morning, we had a car flipped over on Evenings Pat. I saw a story on that, and I brought those specific things up to the RNC the other night. I said, how can we have cars flipping over in a 30-kilometer zone? I mean, it's just, that's just crazy. So to those residents that were concerned about that, yes, that we've heard it, and we're going to bring that forward to the RNC. And please feel free to email anybody on this council or our staff and let them know these things are happening, so we can compile that information and bring it out to this committee so we can get the resources put where we need them. I think this is a huge step forward for us in terms of enforcement and how it's all going to roll out, and we need to take advantage of it, that's for sure. 28. So on the 28th of November, myself and Councillor Martin attended the Fire Department Awards this year. It was the awards actually for 2019. The pandemic has put a halt or a bend, or however you want to call it, into almost everything that's going on. So I was pleased to be there and present some awards on behalf of the town. And I want to congratulate Karen Greeley on 10 years of service, Kenny Dodd, 20 years of service, Philip Whitten, 20 years of service, Kent Abbott, 30 years of service between us and I believe Deer Lake. And also, we had a tie for Firefighter of the Year between Dale Pittman and Ron Francis. And I just want to say thank you for everything that you do, and congratulations to those who received awards, and also congratulations to the whole fire department for the work they do for us, and in particular during this pandemic. Has not been easy for them, and of course it hasn't been easy for anybody, but for those people that are working on the front lines of the fire department and emergency services, they are extra taxed with this, so I would just say that. And our birthdays for the month of December: Sandy Parsons, Julie Reddy, Tracy Allen, Don Chaplin, Bob Hussey, and Bud Tapper. Happy birthday, everybody, and I hope you have a great birthday when it comes up. And on behalf of council and staff, and it's another turn around the sun, I guess. So anyway, just wanted to say that, and that is it for my mayor's report. Any comments or questions on any of that? No? Good, perfect. Okay, thank you. Any business rising from those council minutes that we passed a minute ago? No? Okay. Correspondence. We have correspondence here I received from Juniper Ridge Intermediate the other day to call for nominations for school council positions. So we can ask staff to post that on our social media channels, that you're looking for a parent representative, one position, and a community representative, one position. Now, I don't know if the community representative has to be from a council or not. It just says
No.
must be a member of the community.
Yeah.
So that's fine. So we'll send that out. If anybody has any interest in that, you can apply for it.
Mayor, if I could speak to that for a second.
Sure.
I serve on the school board for Juniper Ridge, and those meetings are really good. They're very informative. There's a great opportunity for dialogue and for parents to understand what's happening at the school and to be able to speak about, you know, what's happening and plan. So I just wanted to mention that it's a great table to be around if anyone is interested, and I would highly encourage people to put their name forward. It's very worthwhile, the work that they do there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's good to know. We have another correspondence from Municipalities, Newfoundland, Labrador, Building Asset Management, BAMNL, third round of training and education events. So we'll just we'll circulate that through council and see who is interested in taking part in that.
Your worship, if I can just speak to that for a second.
Sure.
This is, as they say, the third round of funding from the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, you know, through that whole program. There hasn't been much uptake on the first two rounds, I know, from Torbay in particular. I would certainly strongly recommend that we encourage staff to participate and have the CAO take a look and see who wants to step up and start taking these courses. I know some staff here have done the PMAC training course, which was also offered through that same program or a partner similar to that, except that this one here is really the Newfoundland homegrown version of that. And I think not only from our perspective in terms of going forward, but to help other communities as well. And I think, you know, we'd be all better served to you know, encourage this training from the asset management side of things. I think it'll be for the betterment of everybody. So just, you know, everyone keep their eye and someone sign up for it.
That's a good point. I mean, asset management now is becoming a huge part of how municipalities operate and how we need to budget, and you know, it's a requirement for receiving some of the funding that we get. And if Federation of Canadian Municipalities is funding these opportunities, it's in everybody's best interest that as many people take part as possible. So that is duly noted. All right, committees of council, committee of the whole. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of minutes for the committee of the whole there. One from November 9th. It was a budget, just a budget meeting. Could we get a motion to adopt that, please?
So moved.
Second.
We're the seconder. Any comments or questions? There's no motions or anything in it. It's just information purposes. I don't think we made any decisions. Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Committee of the whole minutes from November 16th, 2020. Items discussed, town of Torbay budget again.
Almost a carbon copy of the other one.
Almost a carbon copy of the other one. Yeah. Motion to adopt
So
that,
moved.
please.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Committee of the whole minutes from November 23rd. Let's guess. Oh, here we go. We had a planning land use development item on the agenda and recreation and community services. And motion to adopt that, please.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Any comments?
Interesting to note that the next committee of the whole meeting is supposed to be December 7th, but we actually have one 2 days later. Anyway, I digress.
Oh, man. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Committee of the whole minutes, November 25th. Motion to adopt those, please.
So moved.
Second.
And there's a motion in there. Do we have to read that motion out? Or is it just, we already
Fine.
adopted it?
As long
So we
as
just
adopt-
have to adopt the minutes, right?
Fine. Yeah, well, I think we can speak to it. I mean, it relates
Sure.
to the new COVID funding stimulus program that was released for the $150,000, which had a deadline of the 7th of December in order to have it in. And I think we've had that discussion around the revamp of the fire department annex, and that's the project that is in there, so.
Okay, anybody else want to speak to that motion?
I just say that very happy that that's the directive it went. I know all council collaboratively and mutually agree that potential funding for fire department annex is vital and crucial, so I just hope it all works out.
And just one more point on it. I had a conversation with Director Kudla about the application today. I had the benefit of joining a joint council meeting for Conception Bay North last week, and one of the MHAs, Steve Crocker, was actually participated in that.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the discussion that we had around it was, looking at the criteria for the application, and also looking at opportunities where, if we are going to do this work, to make sure that we have considerations for COVID-friendly things within the application. So Director Kula, thank you. She's going to have a look at that and consider those things I shared with her for the application when it goes forward. So, yep.
Anybody else? Mary?
No.
Oh, good. I think that this application came in my email on the 23rd of November. I guess that's when it was announced. And I think that I thank staff for, I know that Anne reached out to all of our directors to find out which projects that would be available for us to do to fit into this, as well as the one that we chose. But we were able to do that very quickly. The application came out on the 23rd. We had our meeting on the 25th and approved it, and tonight is the 30th, where we're moving it forward. It had to be in on the 7th. This is a great opportunity because not very often does the town of Torbay get the avail of 90-10 money, where we're getting $150,000 project for $15,000. So I think that's it's very good. I thank the government for putting that out. It's a very good program. If they want to continue putting out 90-10 money, they can continue that too. We'll
take it. Yep.
We'll be there to jump in there, because under normal circumstances, something like this might have been 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, or it could have been a 70-30 split. So it's a benefit to the taxpayers of Torbay, and I thank everybody for working so hard and getting this thing done so quickly, because it was short turnaround. The application has to be submitted by December the 7th, so that wasn't much time. So thank you for that. That's it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. All right, moving on. What else was in that? All right. Planning, land use development. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. First, I'll run down through the motion report. This was taking place at the committee of November 24th, Club Committee, for the night's public council meeting. First one we have is application C2020-152, which is, I believe we discussed this briefly at a recent committee of the whole, so council will get a background, which is a single-family dwelling on 21 Browns Lane, and that's a R&D use zone. So the background on that particular property is the town of Torbay is in receipt of an application proposing to construct a single-family dwelling at 21 Browns Lane. A detailed background report and Planning and Land Use Development Committee minutes form part of this motion item and are attached for reference. So the recommendation further to the matter, having been discussed at the Committee of the Whole meeting of November 23rd, 2020, the Planning, Land Use and Development Committee considered all relevant information outlined in the departmental background report. The committee noted that council advised surrounding neighbours of the proposal as they are backing onto the subject property. Two neighbouring property owners expressed worries about the potential loss of privacy, as well as snow clearing, drainage, servicing and grading concerns. The committee considered Regulation 47 lot frontage, the development history of the subject property, as well as the effect the proposal may have on surrounding properties and availability of public utilities, public safety and convenience. Based on all matters considered, the committee recommends approving the development of a single-family dwelling at 21 Browns Lane in accordance with Regulation 10 and 47, subject to the development meeting the following detailed conditions. Those conditions being submission of a more detailed plot plan prepared by a surveyor licensed to practice in Newfoundland and Labrador, illustrating the dwelling to be fronting onto and facing Browns Lane with a maximum permitted building line setback of 32 metres. Submission of a site and grading plan prepared by a professional engineer licensed to practice in the Newfoundland and Labrador, illustrating and confirming the following. Driveway fronting onto Browns Lane to be located in front of dwelling. Location of stormwater, sanitary sewer and water lines. The provision of a private sanitary sewer lift station will be required. Neighbouring properties not to be negatively affected by storm runoff. Privacy fencing, 6 feet high wooden fence around the perimeter of the property, including driveway access up to the front walls of neighbouring homes fronting onto Browns Lane. Standard conditions for development and construction of a single-family dwelling in Torbay. Therefore, the committee is tabling the following motion. A motion as presented. Motion to conditionally approve application C2020-152 in accordance with Regulations 10 and 47, and to issue an approval in principle which requires that the development meet the following conditions. Condition A, submission of a more detailed plot plan prepared by a surveyor licensed to practice in Newfoundland and Labrador, illustrating the dwelling to be fronting onto and facing Browns Lane with a maximum permitted building line setback of 32 metres. Condition B, submission of a site grading plan prepared by a professional engineer licensed to practice in Newfoundland and Labrador, illustrating and confirming the following. Driveway fronting onto Browns Lane to be located in front of the dwelling. Location of a stormwater, sanitary sewer and water lines. The provision of a private sanitary sewer lift station will be required. Neighbouring properties not to be negatively affected by storm runoff. Privacy fencing 6 foot high around the perimeter of the property, including parallel to driveway access up to front walls of neighbouring homes fronting onto Browns Lane. And condition C, standard conditions for development and construction of a single-family dwelling in Torbay. So moved.
Second.
Over and seconder, comments?
Can I just ask that when the grading plan is in place, and I can't remember, and I should know the answer to this, but if there's a asphalt proposed for the area, that's going to impact the grading, and it's an enclosed area, and some of the concerns were from families close about that net zero runoff. So rather than the grading plan itself, because if it's all gravel, it's going to flow differently than if there's pavement. So can we just make sure we take that into consideration, please? And I'm fine with it once that's done.
Okay, I have that noted.
Okay.
So one thing that we talked about in there, because with regards to the committee putting forward the motion, I still, I guess, got some issue with this particular development. So one of the reasons why I guess it was we agreed to bring it forward was there was an appeal on this particular application. And one of the things that laid out in the appeal was the fact that there was a house there approximately 30 years ago, and that's not mentioned in here in the write-up. And that's one of the reasons, because in actual fact, the Regulation 47, when we looked at that as a committee, it doesn't really pertain to this development. And it's more of when we talked to the director about it, it's a regulation that we don't have, and it's called flag regulation. So that needs to be put in here, I guess, with regards to the background on it, about the fact that there was a home on there 30 years ago, because it doesn't really meet Section 47, and Regulation 10 is something that we very rarely use. And I just want that to be amended to reflect the fact that there was a home on there 30-odd years ago. And once a lot, always a lot is what the appeal board came back and suggested to us. But we need to further look at our regulations and say how long, because if we have a property that burns down within a year, we've just had a cabin that had burnt down, and it was over a year, and they weren't able to rebuild. And yet we've 30 years. I think we need to look at the regulation and see where we go from here, because we don't want to. I don't want to see this as precedent setting, because it's backlot, but it really doesn't meet the criteria explained in there. It's and I really want to add.
That information that you're talking about is in the report.
Yeah, but it should be put in here, so because if anybody's going to look at it, it's the background information that's right here on the town, which was read out originally.
Right.
I think that it needs to be put in there.
Okay, we can just amend that, Julia?
I'm trying to understand what the request is. So the background on lot regulation 47 and the history of the development itself is in the background report.
Yeah,
So
just like in here in the background right here, because if anybody pulls this out, they're going to pull out the motion portion and not in the background. I just wanted to have that added to the background here with regards to, for the motion.
okay,
Just include in the recommendation that's there, I think, Director Schwartz, I think that's what Councillor Thorngrass is asking for.
And the fact that there was an appeal on it and what the appeal board had said.
Mayor Scott, can we make a friendly amendment to reflect that? Do you feel it's...
Sure. So how would that read? I'm kind of confused because
I don't need it in
It's not
the,
in the motion.
I don't need it in the motion. I'd like
Okay.
to have it in here in the recommendation or in the background. I think the background is suitable to have it about the appeal.
oh, okay. 'Cause
And the fact that it was a home, a lot, always a lot.
yeah, okay, because it's referenced there that a detailed background report is part of the motion, and item are attached for reference.
yeah.
So the report is there, it has all the information in it,
Yeah,
so it is referenced, really.
yeah, but I just wanted, because if anybody just pulls out this sheet with
Yeah.
regards to this and the motion,
Right.
they may not necessarily, and that's something that can be contentious down the road.
All right. So I'm still don't know what it is that you want to do. I know what you want to do, but from what I'm looking at this, it's already there. It's done. I understand it's not on the same page, not on the same piece of paper, but it's going to be all part of the file. So if somebody requests it, they're going to get everything, right, Julia?
The intention is to keep the motions report as concise as possible, and that the background report is traveling with the motion as a background. So in effect, the detailed background is attached and forms part of this motion.
Right. So it is part of it.
Okay,
Yes.
I understand that, but for this particular one, because there was much discussion that took place at our development, at our plug meetings.
Correct,
on this,
yes.
And I want to make sure that the background here reflects what you may have attached here. I mean, we want to be precise, but I don't want
Yes.
it to be so precise that we're losing, I guess, what the intent of the motion and a lot of the discussion that took place around it. And the fact that it had been an appeal. I just want that moved up further, and that might make sense, but I mean, I'm still not, I guess, and from where I'm coming, I'm not supportive of this particular development. And I want something to be reflected in here, either in the background or the recommendation to reflect that. So it's only a matter of moving, I guess, what's in the report forward for the minutes.
Okay.
So just to to clarify, maybe where the committee consider regulation 47 lot frontage, the development history of the subject property, comma, maybe you can insert there the fact that the structure existed prior and subject to an appeal. So just the brief blurb on development history in the recommendation, that may make it at least attach closer to the motion. No need to change the motion and everything else, but I think that'll satisfy Councillor
Yeah.
Thorngas.
Okay. So basically, Julia, did you hear what Councillor Pollard said?
Yes, so really what the suggestion is to, as direction now from council and recommendation of Councillor Thorngas, is to amend the background report kind of as part of this discussion and for record as a decision is made. So to basically clarify this as the final decision and amend the motions report. Would that require a separate motion?
Sorry, if it just amend the recommendation that's there, you got background there that refers to the report, which is fine. I think Councillor Thorngas just wants some more information in the recommendation section that's already there, that follows closely to the motion.
Yes,
That way
yeah.
people won't have to get up in arms before they actually read through the document, which they're most likely not to do. So if we just bring forward after subject property, just what the brief history is, that the foundation existed before and was subject to appeal in the recommendation. Not a huge change, just extracting something else from the report and adding it on to the recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll get that amended.
And that won't require any other than change, really.
Okay. It doesn't change the motion.
No.
All right, okay. All right. Anybody else?
No, in summary, we did discuss this over 2 or 3 committee meetings and then went committee to whole.
Okay.
So, I don't feel myself personally that all of our decisions are precedent setting. But I know, looking at this particular file, there was a property there in the 90s, and it's been back and forth through the appeals process over the years. It's been going on long before my time, and I just feel that we can address the neighbouring concerns with regards to the fencing and grading, and I think we can make it work for the applicant to avail of his or her property.
All right. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Did you get that? All right, thank you.
Mayor?
Yep.
Can I be excused just for a minute, please?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Okay. Will I proceed or wait for the deputy mayor to do that?
You can go on, we still got quorum.
Okay. The next one is application number MV 2020-003 and C 2020-172, which is a minor variance frontage development standard, single-family dwelling, 52 Mans Lane, residential infill, and RSA use zones. So the background on this file is the town of Torbay is in receipt of an application proposing to construct a single detached dwelling at 52 Mans Lane. The minimum required frontage for the RI land use zone measured at the building line is 30 metres. The proposed building line frontage is 29.6 metres, and the applicant is requesting a minor variance to the frontage standard, a decrease of up to 10%, and an up to 3 metre reduction could be considered at council's discretion. At 40 centimetre reduction is proposed here. A detailed background report including location map and copy of public notice, as well as Flood Committee meeting minutes, form part of this motion item and are attached for reference. Recommendation. The committee reviewed attached departmental background report on the proposed minor variance request to the minimum required frontage standard at 52 Mans Lane and noted that no written representations were received in response to the public notice. Based on this, the committee concurs with the department's recommendation and issuing a conditional approval in principle. Therefore, the committee is tabling the following motion. And the motion as presented is motion to approve application MV 2020-003 and C 2020-172 in accordance with regulations 11, 12, and 33 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025, to grant a minor variance to the frontage development standard and to issue an approval in principle for the construction of a single-family dwelling at 52 Mans Lane, as per conditions outlined in attached departmental background report and standard building conditions in the town of Torbay. So moved.
Second.
Questions? Go ahead.
Maybe it's just me, but I can't find the motion there. I clicked on motion, but the motion doesn't exist. All the background works. I'm fine with it anyway. I just find it. I don't see motion. I'm down to just development notice and
Page
public notification
44 to
recommendation.
32. Have you got the PDF?
No, I'm on the HTML.
Oh, you're on
Okay.
It's all right. Anyway, I'm fine with it. It's a repeat of what's there, just I didn't see the motion.
All right. All right, any questions?
Just one quick one about the variance. Can you speak to that, please?
Sure. What's your question pertaining to?
There's a variance requested.
So it is a minor variance to the frontage standard that was required, and that's why it came to our committee. And other than that, when we had discussed it at committee, it was within our regulations. Anything specific, I may ask Director Schwartz to elaborate a little bit more.
I think I can. So for a villa lot in RI land use zone, the minimum frontage is 30 meters.
Yeah.
So this person only had 29.6 meters. So they're looking for a variance of 0.4 meters, which is 40 centimeters. And in our regulations, we're allowed to give up to a 10% variance.
Right.
So it fits within it. So it's pretty standard stuff.
Okay.
Is that right on that?
Very correct.
Okay, perfect. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. And the next one is application BR 2020-014, home office, home inspection business, which is discretionary use. 172 Barling Line. It's also a residential infill use zone. Background: the town of Torbay is in receipt of an application proposing to establish a home office in connection with a home inspection, thermography and radon testing business at 172 Barling Line. The proposal was processed as a discretionary use application. No responses to the public notice were received. A detailed background report including location map and copy of public notice, as well as Flood Committee meeting minutes, form part of this motion item and are attached for reference. Recommendation as presented, recommendation: the committee reviewed the information presented, concurs with the department, and recommends that a conditional approval be issued for the proposed home office use in connection with a home inspection, thermography and radon testing business at 172 Barling Line. Therefore, the following motion is tabled. Motion as presented. Motion to approve application BR 2020-014 in accordance with Regulation 10 of the Residential Infill Land Use Zone Table, as well as Regulation 33 and 90 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025, and to issue a conditional approval as per conditions outlined in the attached departmental background report. So moved.
Second.
Or seconder, questions?
Same comment, Your Worship, as the last time. I can't find a motion in the way I'm looking through the PLU. I'm starting to feel,
Are you on, online on the
HTML, yeah.
civic portal?
yeah, I got, it's there. I press motion and what comes up is all the background report, but I don't see the motion itself. Just,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
fine with it again, because all the information is there, just not the motion. I find it sort of,
Right.
anyway, it's what it is. Sorry? No, I'm good, thanks, no. All the information is there, and it's just that I don't see the motion.
All right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you. And we have one more motion in permit listing. So the next one is City of St. John's referral, St. John's Urban Region, Regional Plan Amendment 1, 2020. Public open space to urban development, St. John's Esteliastic District. Pardon me if I pronounced that wrong. Background, the town of Torbay has received a referral letter from the City of St. John's requesting review and commentary in response to a proposed regional plan amendment, which is to redesignate an area on the regional plan map in the, ecclesiastical district of St. John's from currently public open space to urban development to accommodate residential development. As per standard practice, all proposed regional plan amendments are subject to public consultation, including referrals to all municipalities within the region. Copies of the referral letter November 6, 2020 by the City of St. John's, as well as proposed amendment documents and flood committee meetings are attached for reference and form part of this motion. Recommendation: the committee has no objection to the proposed regional plan amendment and concurs with the department on writing the City of St. John's confirming the same. Therefore, the committee recommends tabling the following motion. Motion as presented. Motion to advise the City of St. John's confirming that the town of Torbay has reviewed proposed background amendment documents and that the town has no objection to the proposed St. John's Urban Region Regional Plan Amendment 1, 2020. So moved.
Second.
Or seconder, questions?
I won't dare say it again.
I don't see the motion. It's there, Tony, believe me.
Oh, I believe
Can you see the motions for the budget?
I don't know, I'll tell you, I looked there before, yes.
All right.
Now, see, now, you know I'm gonna follow up on this, don't you? Just my own curiosity.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, and we have one more, which is permit listings. Background: permit listings for the period of November 13 to November 26 are attached for part of this motion report. Recommendation: the committee hereby tables the following motion, and the motion is to accept permit listings for the period of November 13th to November 26, 2020 as presented. So moved.
Second.
Or seconder, questions? You don't see the motion?
Same comment, I don't see the motion, but I certainly see the permits, and just like all the other information that's there, just don't see the motions.
You're in the wrong link.
I'm
That's
in the
why.
wrong pew, yes, I know, this.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Opposed?
and I'll just briefly
Carried.
run down through the minutes as well from our November 24th meeting. We discussed the Browns Lane property. We'd also discussed Kennedy's Brook Phase 1, which is coming forward to a future meeting, as well as our home office and variant and single-family applications. We also discussed a derelict building, as well as other property updates by our DCO, municipal enforcement. We did have our commissioners visit us, and we had a lengthy discussion with him. Committee did. We discussed general updates, and we discussed the neighbourhood watch programming, as well as reports and other issues throughout the town that they pick up on. And there is a lengthy discussion there. I'll reflect it in the minutes, so if anyone has any questions, they can contact me later. And also there's the items that we voted on, and that ends my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions on any of this? Okay, seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I read all those.
Moving on. Well, you might as well, you couldn't see the motions, you might as well read something. Admin and Finance, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. I don't know what I'm gonna be reading here, so
Well,
Unless be
Don't get a
careful.
PDF.
don't fold it up as the budget.
Oh, no, I'm not going there yet, gee. Okay, as you all know, we spent the last, probably a couple of months actually, focusing on budget and budget consultations and presentations, so I won't start off with the budget. I'm going to start off with the Finance Committee motions report for the invoices that are over $5,000. The first one is for A. Harvey and Company Winter Salt Supply in the amount of $124,817.96. Impact Construction for progress payment on the Torbay Historic House siding removal and asbestos remediation in the amount of $14,501.50. Harvey and Company replaced brakes on unit number 0504 in the amount of $7,033.76. Horizon Machining Incorporated for the Fire Department training ground upgrades in the amount of $33,292.50. Mercer's Paving Incorporated for the second installment on the gas tax road upgrades in the amount of $221,266.20. Provincial Fence Products Limited for the depot gate modification in the amount of $6,566.50. Tormont Cat for repairs to unit number 0403 in the amount of $19,747.01, all totaling $427,255.43. So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Sure. Next motion refers to the rescue boat that the fire department had requested to reorganize some of their existing year budget money. They submitted a memo to the Finance and Admin Committee requesting the purchase of a rescue boat to advance the cold water rescue team's ability to search and rescue drowning victims in Torbay. The request is to utilize unspent budget previously meant for the new flashing light. The flashing light has been incorporated into the ICIP sidewalk project, as we all remember. Therefore, the budget previously set aside is no longer required. So motion that the town of Torbay approve the Torbay Volunteer Fire Department's request to purchase a boat, motor, and trailer from Blue Water Marine Equipment Limited for $7,800 plus HST. That's $7,800 plus HST. The fire department will utilize the unspent budget previously meant for a new flashing light, $30,000, to fund this purpose. So moved.
Second.
Purchase, sorry. Fund this purchase.
Comments?
I just have one.
Right.
I guess just from a liaison perspective, I think it's great that this worked out the way it did. As it stands now, when a water rescue call comes, the City of St. John's come down, so it usually turns into being a recovery effort and not a rescue effort. So this will really enhance vital services, I feel, with complement current operations. So I'm just glad that it worked out the way it did.
It's pretty
Me too. I think it goes well. I think the fire department is great work, and when they ask for certain things, it's not always easy to provide them with the way forward. And at least this opportunity provides a new level of comfort, I guess, for residents of Torbay in terms of anything happens on the water. And at least we have some way to get to people who are otherwise out of reach from a stick or a raft or a float of some kind. So let's hope that it is never needed actually, and if it is, it's used to its best capability.
Can I speak to that, Mayor? I think that, this evening it's quite exciting because our fire department, as you recognized, have a lot of very skilled and very dedicated members who do amazing work with the municipality. And my jaw just hit the floor when I realized that from the time they get a call to the time they're on the scene, you're averaging 6 minutes. And so to have, brand new equipment that can be stored in a facility right here, in the center of town, that can get anywhere quick, to Councillor Martin's point, that's amazing. And tonight to have the motion to make an application to upgrade the facility for them, to now be able to do this for them, I think is money well spent for the safety and security of the town residents of Torbay and surrounding areas. And I also feel that it's important to mention that the $30,000 that would have been used for that light is part of the sidewalk money that we have cost shared with the provincial and federal government. And the ability to do the work with the application that we're going to make now for that 150, again, has come from outside sources at a 90-10 divide. So it's really exciting to be able to do that as a council here tonight, and I'm very happy to see this motion come forward and to be able to support it.
Anyone else? No? Yeah, I mean, I know that our fire department is well-trained, and the improvements they did to the training grounds, which we just saw that the invoices there, is another indication of how well-trained they are. I think I heard them say at the awards the other night that there's only 2 members of our fire department out of 44, or however many there are, that are not at least a level 1 firefighter. And I'm sure that they will be soon, because they'll be doing their training and getting it. And I think it's just it's a testament to how well they do. And $7,800 for a boat, a trailer, and a motor, that's a pretty good deal. I don't know how they got a good deal like that, but that's good. Maybe we should get Chief to source some other stuff for us. But anyway,
Next week, come back, oops, that was a Tonka toy.
that's
Sorry,
right.
I got the wrong
There
quote.
was supposed to be there was supposed to be a 2 in front of that.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Oh, you're-
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
There was a spec with that, Councillor.
Yeah, so there we go. So, we all know that we had our public budget presentation Sunday past. I'm getting my days mixed up, but anyway. So I'm not going to be reading out any lengthy letter, just going to restrict the motions of the budget to be adopted. I will note before I start the motions that the annual figure you'll see there will relate in the $13 million range rather than the $15 million range, and that's because of difference between revenue and actually dollars that flow through. The 15 at the budget on Sunday included the money we're going to borrow as well, so that doesn't get included as revenue from a budget perspective, just so you know. So there's no difference overall, it's just the funding was identified in terms of a dollar in the presentation. So having said that, I shall move the motions, and I guess after each one, we'll vote on them, I guess. Now, that the town of Torbay adopt the 2021 budget with revenues equal to expenditures totaling $13,642,151 as presented. Operating expenditures total $8,752,133. Resident and annual priorities total $7,687,657, and loans will be withdrawn totaling $2,797,639. So moved.
Second.
Over in secondary comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The town adopt the 2021 tax fee and structure as presented. The 2021 schedule will be advertised in the Northeast Avalon Times newspaper and posted to the town's website. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That the town of Torbay's residential property mill rate for the 2021 taxation year be set at 6.7 mils. So moved.
Second.
Secondary comment?
I just want to comment on that 6.7 mils. I think it's important to reiterate that the setting of the mill rate as being the same is, in actual fact, should be a reduction for most people because of the reduction in assessed values. So I think it's important that we recognize that and repeat, I guess, what we had said at the Budget Committee.
Thank you, Councillor Pollard. Can I speak to that, Mayor?
Right.
I think it's really important that residents do know that we've worked really hard on this budget, and we wanted to make sure that we recognize that this is a pandemic and, you know, provide the service to the community and move things forward. In the same breath, making sure that we're thinking about what families are experiencing right now. And to Councillor Pollard's point that, you know, we've had some debate around many issues with the budget, but this was one where we thought, you know, we were able to do something to help residents in the coming year. So I'd like to thank all members of council for all our work on this, and I think that it's very important that Councillor Pollard brought that point up around the 6.7 mils. That's it's certainly council's effort to try to make sure that we're doing our part to help our residents through a very difficult time.
Anyone else? I think the only comment that I would make on that is, and it's a very fair one, is that this year our assessments were down, and under normal circumstances, what we've done in the past, and most councils, if not all, do, when your assessments go down by 2%, you usually increase your mill rate by 2% to keep your tax level balanced and even. And unfortunately, sometimes in that, even with this one, with leaving it at the current mill rate, the mill rate is not your taxes. So the fact that we didn't change it meant that we had less revenue, which we adjusted in other areas of the budget to give that benefit or that bit of a tax break is basically what it is to the residents. And I'm glad that we could do that, because under normal circumstances of, if it wasn't a COVID year, we probably would have bumped that mill rate to 6.9 to maintain everything. But I'm happy that we could do it this way, and that's all I got to say about that. And I guess, I'll carry on. All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
That the town of Torbay's commercial property mill rate for the 2021 taxation year be set at 10.5 mils. So moved.
Second.
You second it? Same story with the residential mill rate, right? We didn't move that one either?
Right, no, we didn't.
Okay, all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Yeah, put me on the spot now, your worship. You know, just, that the town of Torbay approve a 25% tax reduction for those residents in receipt of the guaranteed income supplement under the Old Age Security Act for the calendar year 2021. This tax reduction applies to primary residents only. So moved.
Second.
For seconder comments? I have a comment, and I guess I'll ask Ann this. Can we put a notice in the assessments, the envelope that goes out our tax bill, to advise residents of these two things? The GIS reduction, and tell them that they have to apply every year, even if you got it last year. And the same for the low income one, please. Just so it doesn't slip anybody's mind. Other than that, I think this is it's another excellent initiative. that we've
I
done.
think so.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
That the town of Torbay approve a 20% tax reduction for those residents whose single net income is below $18,955, or families with a combined family net income below $32,052 for the calendar year 2020. This tax reduction applies to primary residents only. So moved.
Second.
Seconder, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And the council remuneration for the 2021 calendar year be set at the same dollar amount as the 2020 budget, $163,940, including mandatory employment-related costs. So moved.
Second.
Seconder, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Before we move on,
So ends my report, Your Worship.
okay, before we move on from that, Councillor Glant asked me to just pass on something on his behalf, and I will, because he was going to join us, but he got sick. He said, a big thank you to our mayor, council, and staff and residents for helping assemble this 2021 budget. It has been an extremely challenging year, and I'm very proud of our team's continued commitment to public parks, transparency initiatives, and essential services, all while introducing no mill rate increase. This budget has my full support. Thank you all. So I just thought I'd pass that on his behalf. I would do that for any of you if you weren't here, just saying. All right,
Sorry, Your Worship, I'm finished, but just one second.
sure.
Before I go on, just in relation to the information that's attached, the municipal budget submission form has some good information from an overall councillor and knowledge perspective in terms of, not that no one's not knowledgeable, it's just that there's information in there, number of households, number of houses that are serviced by water and sewer, those type things, so just everyone can get a better snapshot of what the town actually looks like from an operations perspective. So that's just my comment. Thank you, Your Worship.
No, thank you. Any additional information that we can have that gives members of council and residents, of course, any more information, particularly around budget expenditures and revenues, is good. The more people understand, the more they're going to know. You don't know what you don't know. Hey, Mary.
That's right.
All right, now, moving on. Thank you, sir. And
1 second, Your Worship, too. Sorry, I'm sorry with this. I don't do this often, so I beg forgiveness after.
Carry
Just
on.
the question came up as terms of debt servicing ratio from folks who were at the meeting is actually 14% for next year. So
oh, that's really good. I'd say so myself. It is.
sorry, I'm done now.
So, you know what? before we move on from the budget, I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to staff and thank you to council and thank you to the residents for providing the input that you do and, holding council's feet to the fire based on the things that we do, the decisions that we make. And this year, as Jeff mentioned in his note, 2020 has been tough. It started off with the snowstorm and state of emergency, and then it just went downhill from there. I can't believe that I'm saying that the state of emergency and the week that we had town shut down was the highlight of 2020. Everything else from then has been downhill, except for how our residents have responded to this pandemic. It's been awesome. They wear their masks, they're understanding, they do what it is they need to do. And even just from us, and I know Christmas is coming up, and a lot of people are probably hurting right now and stressed out to the max, and kids are in school, and everybody, everywhere you go now, somebody has a mask on, and that's not normal for us to be looking at that. So everybody's senses are heightened and their stress levels are probably up. I know mine are, and it's it's not easy to deal with, but you gotta stick with your family and your friends and your colleagues, and those people are going to give you your support. So with that, I just want to give a round of applause to our staff and council for another successful budget. And thank you very much. All right, moving on. Economic Development and Tourism, Councillor Martin.
Okay, you like me to do it?
You chaired the meeting, right?
Okay.
Take it
Okay,
away.
so on November 26th, myself and the mayor had a brief meeting with Ms. Lawrence, our EDTO, to discuss some time-sensitive items. There was a meeting scheduled with the Newfoundland Labrador Irish Connection. However, that was rescheduled and due to unforeseen circumstances. So a time and date will be rescheduled for this group. Administration is currently looking at alternate dates for arranging a meeting. Excuse me. We do have a motion here. Under Economic Development, our Pico Ridge Memorial Project, the RFP Pico Ridge Memorial Design Project, closed November 5th with a total of 4 proposals received. They were reviewed and scored by an evaluation committee that was a collaboration between PCSO, Portugal Cove St. Phillips, and Torbay. And based on the final scores, it was recommended that Mills and Wright Landscape Architecture be awarded the Picos Ridge Memorial Design Project. During the November 24th Portugal Cove St. Phillips Town Council meeting, a motion was adopted to award the RFP to Mills and Wright pending acceptance by the Town of Torbay Council. It's a cost-share project with the Town of Portugal Cove St. Phillips and a budgeted item. Excuse me, so I do have one motion here to coincide with our neighbours. And motion as presented, that the Town of Torbay provide approval to award the request for proposal Pico Ridge Memorial Design Project to Mills and Wright Landscape Architecture in the amount of $27,335.50 plus HST. So moved.
Second, I've got a question on this, though.
Sure, you can second it and then ask your question.
Yeah, I wasn't able to attend the meeting because we had the FCM board meeting, but I'm just wondering, the 27,000, was that budgeted amount of money? I thought we had 15,000 in the budget for this last year. Did you
I'm not sure.
guys discuss that in the meeting? Director Kudlow, could you speak to that?
Is this for the annual warrant?
Yes.
Yeah, 15,000 is in this year's budget, and that's the purchase order that was submitted to me.
Okay, so the amount of this 27,000 that we're responsible for, is that the 15,000 that Town Torbay is putting towards that? Is that correct? Because that's what I understood it to be, and I just want to understand if it's $27,000 that we're coming up with, or if it's the $15,000 that was in the budget that is going towards this.
I'm under the impression we were only contributing 15,000 this year.
Right.
That's why I'm just curious about this motion, because I'm
Well,
not sure where I missed the meeting.
my guess is that this part of the project is worth 27,000, and Portugal Cove St. Phillips is probably paid half, and we're paying half.
That should reflect that.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, because this motion looks like we're on the hook for the 27,000 here. And I do apologize, I wasn't at that meeting, but I'd like to have that clarified if we're going to pass the motion.
Can we do, Tony, what's the ramifications of deferring this? It's not going to affect Portugal St. Philip's, will it?
I don't think so. I don't, can we do something to it? I think that is, if my memory serves me right, that is the amount for the Mills and Wright quote. You know, we should put a friendly amendment to that, you know, the approval of this amount to be cost shared 50/50 with Town of Portugal St. Philip's. Can you write that in the motion?
Yeah, if we could have a friendly amendment to the motion that would just state that that we approve the award of the RFP for this amount, and that the contribution of the
Cost
town,
shared with Portugal St. Philip's.
and the amount of money that the town of Torbay is investing is the $15,000. Is it cost shared 50/50 or up to $15,000, Councillor Pollard? Do you know?
It's $15,000 was Torbay's budget. I mean, Portugal St. Philip's had a different figure, but it was 50/50. We knew that we were going forward, right?
Okay, so maybe if we could have the friendly amendment that the town of Torbay provide approval to award the RFP to Pico Ridge Memorial Design Projects to Mills and Wright's Landscape Architecture in the amount of $27,000 and HST, and then a friendly amendment that says the Torbay contribution is understood to be 50/50 up to $15,000. If we could make that amendment. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's friendly, but it doesn't change the nature of the motion, so it'd be friendly.
It's just
amendment.
further clarification.
Yeah,
So I'll move that.
so, Ann, did you make that,
I have it, yeah.
you got it?
Okay.
It's just a friendly amendment
Okay,
that I have.
So do I need to move that and have that second, and then we vote that and then come back to the motion?
a friendly amendment, we can just vote on the motion as amended, I think, we can vote on the amendment first.
Okay.
So we'll vote on the amendment, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried, and then we'll vote on the main motion.
Okay, would you like me to read the main motion?
Do we have that second? Okay.
Ann can read out what the motion is now.
Right, no, the first, I moved it, but do we have a seconder is what I'm asking.
I second it.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
sorry.
asked a friendly amendment, right?
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to
No
clear.
worries. Deputy Clerk, could you read out the revised motion, please?
Yeah. All right. Can you turn your microphone on, Ann, if you get a, please?
So the motion reads that the town of Torbay provide approval to award the RFP Pico Ridge Memorial Design Project to Mills and Wright Landscape Architecture in the amount of $27,335.50 plus HST. The Torbay contribution is 50/50 up to $15,000.
So moved.
Second,
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Item B, we discussed briefly that it reflected an update on the economic strategic roadmap. Track Consulting is working on doing a final report to present to council in December. So an inbox invitation will be coming out over the coming days for that. And we also touched base about the virtual market and tourism, the East Coast Trails Association signage project. They had contacted us. They're in the process of obtaining necessary approvals for each municipality to continue with the trail signage location plan. So they have some nice new designs, and there's no financial impact on the town. So it's enhancing their facilities. I do have a motion that the town of Torbay accept the East Coast Trail Association's request to proceed with their signage location plan within Torbay. So moved.
Second.
Want to second our questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Carried.
Oh, Sherry agrees. We also discussed briefly the History House. The governing models for that will be discussed at the next committee meeting in December, and we also discussed our committee meeting schedule. We're going to proceed as usual for now, Deputy Mayor, until we have a meeting with you to confirm all details for 2021, and that ends my report.
Thank you. The governing models, we're going to bring that forward at our committee of the whole meeting next week.
Yes.
Right.
Yep, thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
Okay.
Just for a further note on that, the RFP that went out was the value of the contract shall not exceed $30,000 inclusive of HST. That was what the RFP said.
Yeah.
So that is for between the two towns.
Thank
So we're
you.
finding where we are.
If I could just comment on the Torbay virtual market before we finish the report.
Sure.
My understanding from the Economic Development Tourism Officer is that that was quite successful. There was an awful lot of hits and interest, and people who visited the market and they stayed. They perused, they had a look, and they actually went through what was there. So it was nice to see that vendors were able to share their goods in a COVID-friendly way where you could have a look at what was there. And it was also really exciting to see that people actually did. They went in and they looked in, and I asked her to have a look at the stats and see how long did people stay and did they look. And I don't have the numbers of how many transacted into a sale, but there was a lot of virtual activity around it. So that was very encouraging, and it was great. And there's a survey that's gone out, so it'll be interesting to see what the feedback from the vendors was on that. And I'm looking forward to the Economic Strategic Roadmap report from TRACT. The meetings that we've had with them so far have been very good, and I think that's heading in a good direction. So very, very excited about that. And the last point is we do have a request that's there for a meeting. And Councillor Martin, I've received that in my inbox today, so we can have a look at that.
Okay, very well.
And see when we can set that meeting for the Irish connection gentleman. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, I should have asked you if you had any commentary. I should have asked you as well. Mayor.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that it was in my inbox. I saw it
Okay.
today, and more than happy to set up a time for that. Yeah.
All right. So, Public Works, Infrastructure and Public Works, Councillor Thorne-Goss.
Okay, we had our meeting on November 25th. Self, Councillor Pollard, and the director. There's a lot of it is an update there, but there's a few things I just want to bring to your attention. And I've got a question here I'd like to get our acting CAO to bring back to Director Winter and get clarification. A History House project committee reviewed the updated project schedule, and the project is on schedule. But I noticed in driving by there this afternoon that it looked like they're putting new wood on that office area. And it was my understanding that that portion was supposed to be taken off. But they're doing some renovation to that particular area.
Okay.
So can you follow up with him on that to make sure? Because I wouldn't want them to repair that and then
Tear it
in a
off.
month's time go and then have to tear it down, so. The playground equipment over in motion, that all has been installed. And stormwater management plan, you've got a copy there. We had some discussion around stormwater management plan, and funds have been budgeted for 2021. And Brian is looking at, I guess, from some design work and everything, some work can commence in the spring of 2021. Trail development, we discussed it, next year's projects, and we'll have a map for the next meeting. I don't know if anybody has got any questions on anything else that's in there. Is there anything else that you want to add, Councillor Pollard?
I know we had requested information around what was done in the Skipper's Landing area, because I had understanding that there was work that was done prior to, or as, let's say, hand in hand with some of the remedial work that was offered in the stormwater management plan. And I knew we were going to use some internal staff to do certain things. I haven't got that update in terms of what we have done, but I certainly requested it, and I just requested it again now while we speak here, because I haven't seen anything on it. So, and I know it's contentious issue there, and we just want to make sure we can address those concerns. So,
One other thing that I, just looking at the next page there, we talked about recycling program and how we put another bits on in the spring. And we've got some, I guess, numbers here, and we've gone down in 2020, whereas the tonnage that should have been going up. So we need to have some research and what have you done there, and to get back on track there again.
I suspect that people are not using as much stuff during the pandemic as they did. I know I've experienced it. Normally, like, I'm only putting out at least like one garbage bag a week, and I usually don't have enough recycling to put out now for every few weeks or once a month. And I normally have recycling every garbage day, and maybe 2 bags of garbage, usually one. But I think that's probably impacted to it a little bit. Plus for the longest time, oh no, it didn't affect us though. I know that Robin Hood Bay wasn't accepting any recycling for a while, but that wasn't from us, that was from residents.
Yeah.
Anyway, it'll be interesting to see why, right?
you think toilet tissue paper rolls alone would be enough, wouldn't you, to fill it?
I know that, I will comment, I saw a picture, oh, there it is, it's in the package, that the new lights are installed at the upper tree corner and working. And director sent me a notice saying that those lights that we have in there, we're the only municipality or the only softball field in the province that has those particular LED lights, and that they're looks really good. So we'll be interested to see how that goes next summer. But that project actually turned out to work out really good for us. Nobody lost time on the field, and it's done now, so much safer than before and better. I don't have anything else.
Can I speak to the report?
Sure.
Number one, I'd like to congratulate committee on the work for the Pat Dobb Memorial Senior Softball Field light replacement. That's a very special place in this community, and there's an awful lot of people who enjoy softball and take advantage of that facility. So thank you for your work on that. That's amazing, and I'm very happy to see that that's done. From the sidewalk perspective, the prime consultant agreement has been executed and the design work is proceeding. So I just want to confirm that we're still on track for installation in the spring as we planned for that. The playground equipment, I'm very happy to see that playground equipment on motion. I know I took my children there when they were small, and I did have residents asking questions, and I did share the plan that was coming for that. And again, well done for the work you've done on that. It's great to see that in the community. The stormwater management plan implementation, I know I've been quite contentious around this issue, but I think it's really important that we've done what we were supposed to do when it came to following the plan. The recommendations were made by the consultant. It was a very costly plan, and it was broken out over a time span where we could afford to follow those recommendations and have an engineered solution now so that we can get into this year by year, piece by piece, and fix the stormwater management issues that we have. I do know that the residents in Skipper's Landing have been asking for quite some time to get this resolved, and I think they'll be very relieved to see that council is going to be ready to move on that in the spring. So thank you for your work on that, and thank you for sharing the information in the package, and I'll look forward to seeing that work happening as well in the spring. It's going to do a lot to help ease the minds of residents down there, who especially have been who've been going through a lot personally with the water issues they've had down there. The upper three Corn Palm Park piece that's in here, I wanted to speak to that, and I spoke to Councillor Thorne-Goss before the meeting, and I do agree that we need to have something in place for youth. I don't know that this plan that we're talking about here in the package is something that I'm sure that I can get behind as it is right here. I do have concerns about, you know, how are we going to roll that out? How are we going to make sure that things are safe? And I think that, you know, a discussion maybe with the Department of Community Services to have a conversation about, are there things that we can do for the age group that we'd be targeting here to provide something that might work? I don't know, but it certainly would be a discussion that I would really ask you to have a conversation with Public Works about. I think what Councillor Thorne-Goss is trying to achieve here in our conversation this evening was to make sure that we have something safe where the youth in our community can go, hang out, do their thing, and feel comfortable. And I think that that's a very good thing to want to do. I do feel, though, that we may want to have further discussion with the Department of Community Services around what we're thinking about this and where to from here on it. So if you could maybe follow up and have a conversation and then see where things go from there. And those are my comments on the report. So thank you for your good work. I'm grateful for everything that's in there.
I just wanted to touch base on Upper Three Corner Pond. I guess this probably is one of the topics that touches 3 of the different divisions within the town. We had this one, I guess, at our planning and development meeting when we had the commissionaires in, and after talking to the commissionaires, that we have a group of people that are going from the high school, and apparently as soon as the cars go on the high school parking lot, they get a phone call from a particular resident complaining about it. So they're up there, they're parked, they're basically listening to music, and then all of a sudden somebody decides to drive in with, I guess, the muffler probably off the car or what have you, and doing, you know, whatever up there. So then we talked about over at the Common, and there's a particular area over there that they'll hang out, but then they're interrupting the residents' lives. And over to the drugstore, and what we found when they're over hanging out over to the drugstore, that with the gym over there, there's a couple of them that are, I guess, go to the gym, so they're getting the Wi-Fi, the password, and they share it. So now what the gym has done, they keep changing the password on them. So they're going in and they're hanging out up since the gates have been open up at the Upper Three Corner anyway. So to alleviate, I guess, the fact that they're being turned from everywhere, and talking to some of the parents of these teenagers and what have you, we all at that age hung out somewhere. I remember when I was that age, it was down to Bobby Upman's store in the parking lot.
In the woods.
Not in the woods,
Well,
but in the
obviously
parking lot, in the woods. But everybody
No,
had
very
somewhere.
Very carefully.
Everybody had somewhere that they hang out to. So a lot of those, I guess, they just want to go and listen to the music and a crowd of them gathering. And I guess teenagers today have access to vehicles a lot younger than we did at that age. So we need to look at it. And we talked about before having somewhere to go, but they just want to hang out and listen to the music or with their friends. So in looking at this was something that the commissionaires had talked about. Director of Public Works and Infrastructure had mentioned this a while back about having a hotspot or extender or what have you up at Upper Three Corner. And they're going there now anyway, when they drove away from other places, because they basically can follow them. So what the commissionaires said is that they basically can go in there, the same thing, and there would be communication around something like this to say, they'll tell them that there's a hot spot in there, and if they abuse it, they lose it.
Right.
And have the garbage containers and what have you put in there. And I know that I mentioned that there was garbage that put in there, and the director's telling me that the staff come back and there's very little, if any, garbage is being put in there. But they're going to do in there what they're doing at all these other places, but at least they won't be driven away. So it's something that we know that discussion, so it just so happened that our meeting took place the night before with planning and development, and then I brought it forward because it rolls over on the public works side as well.
Right.
And then I guess Director or Councillor Martin can bring it forward for recreation and have some discussion on it. That's why it touches all 3. And it's a little bit dicey when you talk about the commissionaires, because with speed calming and that, it's under development, but yet it has to go through infrastructure. So that's where this came from in the discussion with the commissioners.
Yeah,
And
that's fine.
there's always going to be some reason why somebody don't want it in their backyard or what have you, but I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, we haven't, to this point in time, come up with something else, and they're going to do that. A certain group of them are going to continue to do this, and we're paying commissionaires to basically chase them from wherever they're to, because that's the main complaint that they get.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, it's just an idea you're talking about, it's not a
That's it,
recommendation,
yeah.
nothing. So, I know that this is something that I've talked about here for the last number of years, when they first started getting complaints from the school, that it would be nice if we had some kind of a public hotspot where young people could go and hang out. I know that the city of St. John's did an initiative at a couple of their parks, so maybe I'll give Danny Bring the call more and ask him how that's going, if they're getting any complaints about it or whatever, so. But it's, yeah, it's, I mean, no idea is a bad one. We'll check it out and see what kind of feedback we get on it, and then ultimately, council will decide, so.
Yeah, Mayor, just to that point, I feel that just asking that community services be brought into the conversation
But
is.
that's in the minutes.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure they were
Okay.
brought into the conversation to further talk about how do we address the issues here.
Right, yeah,
Thank you.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Just be sure we get to know the cost of it as well, so we can have.
Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be more work done on it for sure.
Yeah, it's just a concept, I think, at this stage.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Councillor
you-
Martin is after doing some research on it since we
Yeah.
spoke on it, and I guess he goes back that he's on recreation and that is as well there, so I think that it's, like I said, it's a thought, and we need to be doing something that we can work through.
Yeah, and I mean, Councillor Glenn had said this times around here, and I have, is that there's a certain segment age group in our population that kind of, I hate to say get overlooked, but they kind of do, because the younger kids, we got all kinds of stuff. For adults, we got stuff, but for teenagers between the age, say,
Once they get their license.
16, 19, there's kind of, that's probably an area where we need to look at doing some more things. Right, Tina? All right, thank you. Recreation and Community Services. Councilor Martin.
Thank you. So myself and Councillor Gallant met prior to myself and Councillor Thorngoss's planning meeting on November 23rd. We had a few items that we discussed some in great detail. First one was it fell up to some correspondence received regarding the Remembrance Day ceremony. I know Deputy Mayor had wrote a committee with some feedback concerning lead raying protocol and whatnot, and we did discuss with Deputy Mayor, and we are going to have a formal response sent out to you. And we were also forwarded a letter from the Mayor's office, and we sent some feedback. So Mayor, after I'm completed, if you'd like to touch base on that, you can. I know you're going to respond directly.
Yep.
It is the first ceremony we've done in this type of situation with regards to limiting the capacity on site, as well as who can participate and whatnot. So the concerns raised regarding the leak raying were regarding a sensitive matter, and we fully emphasize on the situation that had happened, and we are going to be issuing we've already made a recommendation to the Mayor's office, and committee will also have a letter going to Deputy Mayor with her concerns. And I would like to reiterate that we will be taking we've taken all feedback over this year, and God willing, things will be normal next Remembrance Day. But in the event coronavirus is still here, we will we will reflect on what happened this year and use it to implement better protocols next year, so that there's no disturbances or disruptions.
Right, right.
If you'd like to talk, Mayor, to
No, I received.
don't, okay.
I received the correspondence and I forwarded it on to the committee for
Oh,
some comment.
okay, very good.
And then I will,
Okay.
I'll respond directly to that.
Okay,
On behalf of the town, on behalf of
very
council.
good, very good. The next one was some correspondence we had received regarding toys for the food bank. Committee discussed the correspondence, as we're not, again, everything we seem to be doing here lately is mirrored around the coronavirus situation. And unfortunately, we won't be proceeding with a traditional parade this year. There'll just be a motorcade module in place, so for safety reasons, over an abundance of caution, the motorcade will not be stopping to collect any items. It's going to be limited capacity and participation, and it's not going to be stopping anywhere for any reason other than an emergency. So any inquiries that the town receives concerning Northeast Avalon Food Bank donations, whether it be toys or food or monetary donations, will be redirected to the Northeast Avalon Food Bank to advise them of drop-off times. The next one came from staff perspective, staff request. Director Auchin Ryan, Director of Recreation and Community Services, advised that she and Director of Infrastructure, I feel that, as soon as this gate is opened up tonight, in the next week or two, we're going to have more complaints and more activity from the commissionaires. When shortly before our last motion came in to secure the gate in the night time, we were at a point where there was that much activity going on down there that the commissioners had assigned an exclusive agent and a vehicle down there. So I don't suspect under any circumstance that the issue has already been resolved. I know it does look counterproductive that we're changing a motion that we only made a couple of months ago. But from I discussed my concerns at committee level, and for snow clearing purposes, as well as if there's an emergency down there in a snowstorm and they need to get down there quick, the gate is a hazard during heavy snowfall. So at the broader picture, I think we do need to all collaborate and determine the best move forward with how we can address younger people and give them a place to go. Upper Three Corner may not be the correct place.
Can I just interrupt you?
But with regards,
Can I just interrupt you for a second?
well, I was on
Because we got off, this is a motion about locking the gate at Upper Tree Corner for snow clearing operations. That's it?
That's Torbay Common.
We're at Torbay Common, about snow clearing operations. It's not about Upper Tree Corner.
I know, I just
Can we-
mentioned the deputy
Can we
mayor,
just,
but-
I know, and I know that the issue has been raised about talking about Upper Tree Corner, but can we stick to this motion, please?
Yeah.
And this is about snow clearing operations.
Right.
That's it.
So I was explaining that before
All right.
before you interjected.
Okay.
So so other than that, we'll have to see how it goes over the coming months, and take it step by step. So other than that, I'm going to call the question if anyone else doesn't have any commentary.
I got a question and ask if it's to do with snow clearing. Why is it coming from your committee and not from infrastructure?
Well, it's part of the operations, the
Because
whole
I
operations,
know,
right?
I know, but that's something that, again, we just put the motion forward to have the gates locked because of increased activity.
Right.
Our commissionaires are on, if there's going to be a snowstorm, there's no reason why they can't potentially go down and leave those gates unlocked, seeing that they're coming on at 8 o'clock at night and they're there until 4 o'clock. So maybe that could be, because sure as anything, tonight they're going to be back down to the Kinsman. And I guess listening to what Councillor Martin just said, we ended up having to hire an extra commissioner to stay over there. So I think that we're doing one thing and causing a problem somewhere else. And I guess with regards to Deputy Mayor's comments, is the Upper Three Corner, that's been opened all summer. The gates haven't been locked up there.
I don't know, to me, it should be open. People
Well,
go up
I
there
know,
and use it.
but it has been open, and that's why they've been going in there anyway.
Right.
But that was something, I guess, that came back from Recreation and Infrastructure, basically saying that all of our facilities should be open. They were open, and then it caused problem over to the Commons. So we got to look at, maybe it's something that, there's no right or wrong answer to any of this, but I just got to wonder why it's not coming from the proper committee.
I suspect that Brian was talking to you about that, was he?
Could you speak to that, Director, please?
Brian and I did have a conversation on that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was recommended from both of us that the common gates be left open in case there was a storm this evening or anything like that. Public
Did you
Works
talk
can't
about-
get out of the truck or their vehicles, snow clearing, unlock the gates, and then get back in and lock them up.
Did you talk about the extra vandalism and why the gates were just recently why you had to hire, what you're gonna do about that problem? Did that come up in your conversation?
That was brought up as well, and I believe, Councillor Martin, you guys discussed it with the commissioners that the vandalism has gone down.
So it's 6 in one and half a dozen the other. I guess from a staff operational perspective, that's purely where the motion's coming from, not from a rescinding a council decision from the past. So,
All right.
Mayor, back to you. You keep
All right.
talking, so go ahead.
Just one point of clarification, Mayor.
Just before I go on, Anne, is the video working correctly?
There was a break in the video.
Yeah.
I received an email from a resident who let me know, and it's up and running again. It's fine.
Okay, all right.
And it's recorded. There's a backup in case there are any issues with
Yeah.
what's online, so we can fix anything that was missed. So.
All right, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just one point of clarification, Mayor.
Yep.
I have an email here from someone who was in an Upper Three Corner Pond on Thursday night trying to get in. They had Cub Group, it was Cubs, and they weren't able to get in because the gate was locked. That gate
Okay.
is not always open.
All right.
Just point of clarification, that's all.
Okay. Anyway, obviously, in consultation with our public works staff, that this is a requirement for snow clearing operations. I don't feel like it's my place to question whether, how they do their operations for snow clearing. If that gate is closed and we has a dump of snow, it's not going to open. It's a sliding gate, and it'll get damaged anyway. Whatever. I'm fine with having the gate open for the winter for snow clearing. I don't feel that it's anyway.
Are you gonna put a commissioner down there for the rest of the year and
I-
have it the same as
Mary.
you did before?
I was against locking the gate in the first place.
I know, that's why it's easy for you to say, so are we going to get a commissioner, an extra, not the commissioner, an extra commissioner I found out after the fact, and put them down there? That's all I'm asking.
I haven't received any complaints about the down
Why do you
there.
think that they had to go and get the second commissioner? They obviously had complaints down there.
I'm saying I didn't receive any.
Well, just because you didn't receive any don't mean that there's
But
no
I can only-
complaints.
I can only speak from my
I know,
perspective.
but I'm saying that I did, and
All right.
obviously there were complaints.
Can we call a question on this and vote on it?
So-
Does anybody else have a comment on it that haven't commented on
I've
it?
got one
last-
point of
That hasn't
clarification.
commented on it yet?
I've got one point of clarification.
Go ahead.
The past motion that we're voting on to change now was a follow-up from planning due to municipal enforcement reports
Right.
with records of issues and records
That
of
was fair, and
complaints.
I voted in favor of it.
Right,
No,
yeah. So the gate that was discussed, even though it's arbitrary to this conversation, at gate or gates at Upper Three Corner, nothing has come to a committee yet. So there's no clear direction on if it's being opened or locked, when it's unlocked. So the reason that there's the structure around the community centre is because committees were, a committee received municipal enforcement feedback, and we were having issues down there and they needed to be addressed. So if there are issues at Upper Three Corner, they will need to be addressed separately.
Yeah.
But I don't doubt that there is any issues with the gate being open or unlocked or activity in there or not. And if there are needles and stuff being in there, that's another conversation we're going to have, because that's a huge public safety concern. So
Okay, Councillor Pollard? Did you have anything to add to this?
I don't know where I am by between here and Upper Three Corner Band, somewhere along the way. But just on the common, can we take it back and look at it again? I two concerns. I mean, one is the concern of vandalism. Obviously, there was an issue before, and we voted to close the gate. So now we're going to vote to open the gate, and it's only because of snow, and I don't mean only because of snow. Snow is an issue, there's no doubt about it, but that doesn't necessarily mean the problem of vandalism is going to go away. Is there any other potential solution around that? I mean, you know, and even still now at the end of December, or first part of December, you can probably close the gate or lock the gate. It's a catch-22. You know, I'm ambivalent towards it, but I would think to close the gate myself.
I would welcome a motion to defer.
Can we defer this?
No, I don't think
I
we
would
need to
welcome
defer
one.
this motion. I don't think we need to defer this motion, but I think what's happening here is we're having a discussion about a bigger issue. And so I have a resident here that's messaging me who's watching, saying they're picking up drinks, booster juice, and fast food containers in there right now. So there's a bigger issue here, and Councillor Thorne-Goss is saying she's receiving complaints about an issue. And I think Councillor Pollard's point is fair.
Okay.
That we need to look at that. As
Okay.
you said, Mayor.
All right, okay.
This is, please don't interrupt me. I've asked you to let me
I'm
speak.
going to call order. Everybody has, you've had two,
This is
now
a
this is the
different
third
point.
time. Yes,
The
but it's the same motion. We're
No,
talking
this
about
is
the
a
same
different
motion.
point, Mayor.
Do you want to withdraw this motion, Councillor Martin?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Can we have unanimous consent to withdraw that motion, please? All right, can we have a seconder to withdraw the motion, please?
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
Can't contramind it.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
All right, carry on.
Thank you. So Director Auchinleck, if you could put that on the books for next meeting, please. The next one is the seniors' Christmas dinner, which was discussed as well at committee, and then subsequently the committee to hold the following day. Unfortunately, what we had envisioned 2 weeks ago rapidly changed due to the increase in coronavirus cases. So committee discussed the event. Director of Recreation and Community Services provided information obtained from government. People above the age of 60 are considered to be in a high-risk group for COVID-19. Plus the guidelines for distant gathering states individuals over 60 and those with chronic conditions listed below are at higher risk of severe illness from COVID-19. The individuals should consider not attending gatherings. So with this taken into consideration, these are recommendations, not regulations issued by the government. So while there's no community transmission cases currently, at an abundance of caution, as you're all aware, we had discussed it at a committee of the whole, and given an outlook on what could potentially happen, out of an abundance of caution, motion whereas presented that the town of Torbay will provide a free cold plate dinner through a licensed Torbay food establishment for 65 plus residents of Torbay only through a pre-registration process. Tickets will be distributed on a first come first served basis. It does say numbers to be determined, but I do have an update following that, which is about 150 plates, correct, Director? Yeah. Thank you. So we were going to look at having different groups at a local food establishment over a series of nights, but over an abundance of caution, we've changed it to give them tickets to get a meal at his or her leisure and enjoy it at home. So that's the motion as presented, so moved.
Seconder?
Second.
Seconded. Questions? Comments?
So
Right.
this motion is to provide a cold plate dinner
Yep.
where someone who's 65 plus can go pick it up and bring it home and have the dinner, and we're not bringing them together in
Right.
a group, just to be clear.
Due to an abundance of caution, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you. Again, speaking of coronavirus and abundance of caution, Director of Recreation and Community Services provided committee with a detailed route and map for the Santa Claus neighbourhood motorcade. Communications have promoted this in website, Facebook event, Twitter, Instagram, and town digital sign, and will be featured in Torbay Talks. It was noted through means communications the change for the original parade date and time, as no food or toys will be collected during this time, an event, so that was the update on that. Kennedy's Brook Development, there is a note here about this, but next committee, Community Services and Flood will be having a joint committee meeting to discuss this. There's several events here for December. Some have already taken place in November. And Christmas at the Community Centre. The Director advised that maintenance will be taking place December 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Staff are working on the draft programs. And that ends my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions on that, any of that? No? Okay, thank you. Moving on. Liaison Committees. There's nothing from Atlantic Mayor's Congress. I already gave an update on the RNC. Jack Byrne, Deputy Mayor.
The Jackburn meeting will be happening on December 3rd. We had to defer.
All right, thank you. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, Councillor Martin.
Thank you. Saturday night, as you mentioned earlier, Mayor, yourself and I attended the awards night, and Councillor Martin from Flat Rock, Councillor Michelle Martin, was there representing Mayor Thorne. It was nice to be there, be present, be a part of it. It's unfortunate that due to the times that we couldn't have the firefighters' ball or the Christmas banquet. I know the Christmas banquet for the firefighters' ball is one of my favourite events. But I would like again to reiterate thanks to the years of service, as well as MHA Parsons and MP Harris. I know some members received acknowledgement from the Governor General of Canada, Julie Payette. So I thank them for all they do. I hope we're able to help them as much as we could from Council with regards to the funding application for the annex and working with them to purchase the boat package, as well as get a new pumper put in the budget. So I want to extend thank you to them for that, and reassure them that we all have their back and we're working behind them, not trying to cut them during these times. So other than that, thanks for everything.
All right, thank you. There's no update from the UMC. We don't have any notice of motion. New business, Deputy Mayor.
Okay, so the first thing, I'd like to thank the board at FCM. We had 2 weeks of advocacy and our board meetings, and it seems like the last 2 weeks, day and night, I have been in meetings of one form or another. But I've got to say, it was absolutely amazing working with leaders from across the country. The rapport, the respect, the camaraderie, the support for women. We had an anti-racism motion that we passed at our board meeting. Absolutely amazing. So hats off to President Garth Frizzle and the team. It's been absolutely brilliant working with our counterparts across the country. I'd like to also thank the Joint Council of Conception Bay North for the invitation and allow me to join and participate in their meeting on Thursday night. It's really important to have communications across the region and talk about what we have in common and what's different. And I think on the ATV discussion, when you brought that up, that was a common theme there as well. There's a lot of municipalities that are having some common issues. So at the M&L table, we can certainly have this discussion at our next board meeting and have those conversations. So thank you to them. I'd like to thank Colleen Whitty for her time with the town. I'd like to congratulate her on her new position and wish her all the best. But I have to say, I'm going to miss Colleen when I call, and she's been amazing, and I just want to wish her the very best. And I'd also like to thank you, Mayor, for acknowledging the fact that I left the meeting on the 25th. We're elected officials, and usually we work really well together. But it is frustrating when you're trying to get your point across and you're interrupted, especially when you're sharing communication from a new perspective, and when you've got information that's brought to you by the public, or in the instance of the 25th, when we were talking about the application for the COVID relief money and trying to speak to the issues around that. So I think that as a collective, we do quite well, and we've done quite well. as a council, and this budget exercise certainly showed that. But I have to be honest, being interrupted tonight during the Public Works and the Recreation sessions again, it is quite frustrating when you're trying to speak, and I know what it's like to chair, I do that as well. But I think we need to make sure that our elected officials have a chance to be heard in the meetings. And that's it for me. Thank
To
you.
that point, we also have rules, 2 minutes, right? And so I think that I gave you lots of leeway tonight on, you probably spoke between you and Justin for probably 10 minutes or more, 15 maybe, on that one item, and I didn't interrupt. But once it gets off the topic of the motion that is on the floor, then it's, at that point, the chair needs to step in to end that discussion, because it's kind of, can go on forever. And that was
Well, I will
the point
invite
of
you
that.
to watch what was discussed tonight again, and everything that was discussed on my behalf was pertinent to the motion. And I'll leave it there.
All right.
Thank you.
Councillor Torngas.
Just like to say thank you to our volunteer fire department on their hard work and dedication, volunteering for the town. And thank you, or congratulations to all those who received various milestone service awards, and as well as the firefighters, I guess, off the air. So congratulations and thank you again for everything that they do. That's
Okay.
it.
And Councillor Pollard pass. And I just got to thank you to everybody, staff, council, for another, I guess, now that the budget is passed, successful year. And I know it's been tough on everybody. And, you know, we got one more meeting left before the Christmas break. And, you know, thank you to the residents who tune in to watch our meetings and pay attention to what's going on. And with that, I would entertain, do we have any questions, Ed? Okay, no questions. Our next public council meeting will take place Monday, December 14, 2020 at 6:30 PM here at the Torbay Council Chambers. And with that, I would request a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, carried.